You've won some fantastic prizes. You want to keep them? You want to risk everything and be a pig?
Will be pigs?
Point. Will be pigs.
Welcome to Let's Get To, your tour of America through the lens of minor league baseball. Baseball from sea to shining sea. And now, the first pitch. Opening thoughts from James Christopher. Presented by BaseballMapper.com.
And welcome to Let's Get To. I am your host, James Christopher, and we're going to be right back out to the LeHigh Valley, home of your Iron Pigs, in just a second. But I wanted to show something off. If you watch this show, you know that I am a crazy jersey collector. I obviously am a crazy hat collector as well, but my jerseys are now over 100, and it's kind of become my passion, and I love theme night jerseys. And so I just got from the Sioux Falls Canaries their Big Lebowski jersey. It says the dudes on it. They got the bowling ball, the bowling pins. Super cool. Was able to buy it online, help a charity. It was great. And then I was thinking about a Star Wars jersey that came out, well, a couple weeks ago, that from a big name team, a AAA team, in fact, it was one of the best designed jerseys I've seen, period, not just for Star Wars. And they only did a live auction, an auction in-house. Then I had a situation where I went to, I usually will go to the team's website before I visit them and check out what the merch is available and kind of figure out what I think I'm going to get or not get. And walked into one team, and they had way more in the shop than they did online, including a style of hat that I love, the 3930, that was only available on the premises, not online. And I think it kind of hit me that minor league baseball teams, I think for the long-term growth of the sport, and we talk on the show a bunch about how it is small businesses making money on the margins, right? There's not a whole lot of room for error. They have to make sure that whatever thing they bet on is a sure bet. And I think that some of that would become easier if they just embrace the fact that a large percentage of their merch is bought by collectors not in your hometown. So I don't understand why there would ever be a case where you would have items different in your team store than online. Because again, people, first of all, they spend more money online because you're like, oh my God, that doesn't matter. I'm not holding anything, so it doesn't feel like physically real. That's the excuse I give Jessica. And if you're doing an online auction, how many thousands more people do you have the ability to bet on your gear if it's online? I, for one, hit up Live Source every now and again in MILB auctions just looking for stuff. So I really wish that minor league baseball, independent baseball, and collegiate summer leagues would embrace the fact that you have a big audience online that would love to buy your gear. You know, I'm friends with a lot of other collectors, and I'm always getting the question, like from Ed, is there a Dad Hat? Or Andy, you know, I'd rather a 3930. And then to walk in and sort of see some of those selections, but have them not be available online is a potential missed sale, quite frankly. So I hope that what we'll realize is, while maybe getting people out to the ballpark all the time is hard, you really do increase your chances of selling more gear, raising more money for charity, if that's your mission, by having the stuff online. I know I basically just described Amazon, but again, I really think it should be available. And I, for one, there are jerseys that come out where I'm like, my max bid's $250 on a jersey. Like, I'll go that high on some of them. And so again, I just think it's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity for me as a collector. And it's sort of a gateway for me not to become a fan of the brand. But it's also, I think, a barrier to some of these teams who are, one, trying to make money to keep themselves afloat, and two, trying to raise money for their charity partners and their community. So, guys, It's called the internet, and it's not going away.
On the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
You know the fellas' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean, the fellas'
Who's on
base.
first? The Let's
The fella
Get
playing
To
first
Team
base
of the
for St.
Week.
Louis. Who? The guy on first base.
Presented by the Baseball Bucket
What are you
List
asking me for?
Podcast.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first. That's the name.
Now, we are excited. We're tickled. We're thrilled to welcome to the show, friend of the show, Matt Bari, but it's been a little bit since you've been on. Matt, first of all, how's it going?
Everything's going well. We're right in the middle of the season, just past the halfway point. We've had a lot of great promotions going on, and it's been a fun time at the ballpark.
Before we dive into that, and we will, in my trip heading up there, which is just about a week, I want to talk a little bit about you and how you went from a kid that presumably liked baseball to, I mean, this is now the second team that you've worked for in the front office that I've known you in. So how did that whole process begin to get to where you are now?
Yeah, I was a D2 college baseball player. I knew I wasn't going to make it based off my playing talents to make it past college. Shout out West Virginia Wesleyan College, go Bobcats.
Go Bobcats.
So, I think it was a lot to do with my dad, who was a college basketball coach growing up in sports, playing, over 18 years of baseball and not wanting to give up the love for it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people get drawn to. And just so happened, my school started a sport business program as I was already attending. So I had to do some catch up, after the fact, but I got into that program, just really loved it. And it led me into needing an internship, and started with the Ripken experience in Myrtle Beach, just doing tournament operations and, seeing the back end of how things like that worked. And I knew that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do with youth sports. And I knew I didn't want to coach. My dad always told me, don't coach, don't be like me, don't be a coach. Which, now I'm glad I listened to him. I think this was the right path for me. And I started as an intern with the Midland Rockhounds 10 days after I graduated college.
Wow.
And it was a stadium operations internship. So up at 8 a.m., cleaning the stadium, backpack blower on, power washers, bathrooms, fireworks, doing everything around the ballpark.
Right.
And the facility, because we had, you've been out there, it's 6,000 seat baseball stadium, but also a 15,000 seat football stadium. That's actually a picture of it right there with a dust storm coming in during a game. And it's a unique experience out there. And, moving basically across country 10 days after graduating, you're getting thrown into it. So I basically hedged that into a sales job there as well. They needed some people to sell. I said, I want to be here full time. So they created a position for me. So in the morning, basically from 8 to noon or 1, outside cleaning the stadium, doing maintenance. And then from 1 to game time, I was selling. I was on the phones in the office. And then eventually I took over as on-field MC. So you wrap all three of those things together, it's one hell of an experience. So
yeah, you have done it. One thing I want to ask you about the Rockhounds before we dive into the Iron Pigs. You've seen the new rebrand. I love it. Thoughts?
I think it's great. It's definitely what the team needed. I was actually part of that discussion before I left. So I saw all of that, all the designs, and, was able to give my 2 cents on everything as we were leaving. I know I was always pushing to, hey, let's get the branding that way had. Obviously, people loved it, but it needed to be refreshed. West Texas needed a little refresher there. So I think it's great. I think it looks good. I think the colors pop. It's just good for an organization as historic as the Rockhounds and what they've done in that area, to be able to rebrand, and people seem to like it. So I've gotten good feedback from, my former co-workers and friends that are still in the area.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really, really sharp, but let's talk Iron Pigs now. So first of all, you move up there. How is that environment a little different, but also kind of similar to your experience in Midland? Yeah,
Midland was a AA, and now we're in AAA. So there's very few things that are different in that sense. I think more from the player perspective, and the facilities are a little bit better at the AAA level. Obviously, Coca Cola Park is a beautiful stadium. Should have won Ballpark Digest Best Stadium in 2022. I don't know how we got robbed there in the quarterfinals. But I think just the level of the amount of seats, you're basically double the size of the stadium I'm used to. The operation is just on a larger scale. Coming into an organization like this, they win golden bobbleheads all the time. They're known for their promotions, they're known for their merchandise, and being able to be a part of that, it's huge. I think staff size is double of what we had in Midland as well.
Right.
There's those differences. But at the end of the day, it's the same work, right? You want people to come into the ballpark and leave with a smile on their face. A lot of the people that are coming in, it's their first experience at, coming to a baseball game or to a Iron Pigs game. So you always want to leave that lasting memory. And as we both know, minor league baseball is not about the play on the field most games. So.
Yeah. Well, and you do join one of those teams that everybody knows about, right? Like that brand is very, very ubiquitous in the sport. Is that kind of fun to get to play in a pool that, kind of already has a momentum, and you get to kind of add your spice to it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the jersey you're wearing right now, the Lehigh Valley Water Ice. That's one of the larger differences that I've noticed from going from Midland and AA to AAA here in the Lehigh Valley is, it's different markets. So things like the water ice would never work in Midland. Right. A lot of the things that we do here with the Iron Pigs would never work there. Right. So there's the difference in market, the difference in demographics, but also just the resources and, the proximity to other things. When you're in West Texas, you're out in the middle of nowhere. That is
literally the only game in town,
the only game in town.
Right.
So when you're here, we got teams within 40-minute drives of us, people that are in our division that are an hour away. A lot of AA teams are around us as well, and single A teams. So, you're having to set yourself apart from those teams more often, right? Because there are fans of other teams and they're able to drive there and see those teams. So you're really fighting for that hold of the territory.
One of the things I noticed in the branding, and I spoiler alert, and I'm going to show the video that you sent me. I got one made. There's a lot of homage to the Phillies, y'all's parent club. Oh, we're going to hold it up. Look at that. When as a kid, that was one of my favorite. I love it. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I'm like giddy as a schoolboy. But how cool, how important is it to say, yes, we're the Lehigh Valley team, but we're also part of Pennsylvania. We're part of this larger Philadelphia Philly family.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. The relationship we have with the team, the fans, people that are Iron Pigs fans are also Phillies fans. I mean, we're very, very close to our parent club. So it's unique because not every team is this close in proximity to where they can share fans. And same as Reading is 40 minutes down the road from us. That's our AA. So they can really see the players develop and really grow throughout their careers. And they can do it within an hour's drive of each other. So by seeing that as a fan, being able to incorporate those traditions that are coming from Philadelphia and, really, really just embedding ourselves with them, I think is important. And I know that our fans love it. There's always been some tie from a jersey aspect. We had the baby blues in the past. I know we have the maroons now. We have a Liberty Bell for our Sunday jerseys, so it's that tie-in is helpful from my perspective in trying to market the team and, really connecting ourselves to Philadelphia. But also it's something that our people in the area in the Lehigh Valley can be proud of.
And one of the things I really applaud you guys for, I mean, I follow this stuff really closely, and you also are your own brand. Like you do, you guys do a great job of bridging the gap between, yes, we're the AAA team for the Phillies, but we're also the Iron Pigs. And we've talked before offline about, I think a lot of teams miss the boat on that if they keep the parent club's name. I mean, it is kind of cool that you're able to carve out two niches in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And I think, the tradition here and, I'm, as the senior director of marketing here, I'm trying to embed myself into that as I go as well. We've talked about it. I got the hats here. We have the water ice. We have the Coquille. We got the Scrapple this year, August 12th. And we got the Iron Mutts. It's a little harder to see with the lighting, but that's our, we've gone to these different identities, but people still know that is the Iron Pigs. And I think it does take a lot of work to separate yourself with your own branding from your parent club to then being able to do these special events and these special theme nights.
It sounds like you, like y'all's fan base is relatively knowledgeable, intelligent about how this works. I've talked to other front office people and they always field questions like, why are the blah, blah, blah playing? I thought it was supposed to be the blah, blah, blah. And,
right.
And I know it's going to take people time to catch up to that, but it seems like you guys have a fan base that's actually really eager for it.
Yeah. I think because it's been such a big part of the tradition here is people are used to it and they look forward to what we're going to come up with next. Right.
Yeah.
What are those wacky guys doing at the ballpark this time? That it's that type of mentality because they've seen the type of show we put on. They know what they can expect when they come here, and they know that they can expect something new when they come here as well. So I think the fans are a big part of that. We get a lot of great feedback. People love the different things that we do, especially with like the Coquille. There's a large part of the population of Lehigh Valley is Puerto Rican. And so having that Copa identity, being able to embed ourselves deeper within the roots of the Lehigh Valley is huge. And, water ice, that's a dialect thing from really Jersey, South Jersey and the Philly DMA, and Scrapple is a Pennsylvania Dutch food. I don't know if you've ever had it.
I've never have.
But I tell you what, people love it around here. It's on menus at a lot of restaurants. And then the Iron Mutts being basically a dog theme that we've been running with for the last couple of years. And, some of the initiatives behind the things that we're doing are helpful as well.
It's really fortunate that, on the day I'm recording this, Ben Hill's article today is about that identity and where it came from. So I will link that to fans of the show. Before we have a little fun, we play a little pepper. I'm going to ask you this like high school guidance counselor question. What's one thing that you feel like you've learned at the Iron Pigs that maybe you didn't learn in any of the other spots or a new part of you that you've sort of found?
I honestly, I'm in charge of an entire department here that has 11 other people in it, right? So from a managerial side of things, just being able to, different personalities and obviously I'm in a different part of the country, so there's different personalities just around the area.
Right.
You've been to both places, or you will be. In the next week, you'll have been to both places and you can just see it in everything. So I think just being able to adapt a little bit better. I think it's been great for me. I've lived in 11 states. I've worked in the South. I've worked in the North. I've worked in the East and the West. And, I've been able to see how the different demographics are in the different markets. And I think just adapting to a larger market has been, my more challenging aspect of this job so far. But everybody's been so great here. It's making it pretty easy to do.
Well, what's not going to be easy are these questions. So I need you to clear your mind. You ready?
All right. We'll see how I do.
We're fixing to get random, brother. All right. What is your go-to ballpark food?
Three Little Pigs.
Explain.
It's a sandwich with pulled pork, ham, and bacon on it.
Is it at the Iron Pigs?
Yes, we have. James, we are the largest restaurant in the Lehigh Valley. We have over 300 menu items, and I'll walk you around. I'll pick out the best. In a close second, it's the bacon cannoli.
Oh my God. I want all of those things, and I'll leave the gun, but I'll take the cannoli. Thanks for opening that up for me. All right. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Okay. What's the strangest thing you've seen at a ballpark?
I don't think I could say it.
We do have a family show here.
Exactly. I've seen some very strange things that I won't comment on. Probably in Midland, we had a family of foxes that lived in the ballpark.
Really?
Yes.
What happened to them? Are they okay? Do they still live there?
We tried to remove them as humanely as possible all the time. They still found their way back.
I kind of love that. And that's where we'll end the story. As far as I know, a little Fox family's watching Rockhounds baseball.
Yeah.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
What's your favorite team brand in minor league baseball that's not the Iron Pigs or the Rockhounds?
That's tough. I've always been a fan of the Rough Riders.
Yeah, they do a really good job of having a kind of classy minor league baseball brand. I don't love the Copa, but you don't have to comment on. But I think for the most part, they do a really good job of creating something unique in that landscape. What's the first time baseball broke your heart?
Sophomore year of high school, American Legion summer tournament in Mandeville, Louisiana. I was the third out to losing the state championships.
Man, I thought that's tough. Okay.
Yep.
Most people are just like, I watched a game. You were actually part of it. All right. Star Wars or Harry Potter?
Star Wars.
Kevin Costner as a cowboy or a ball player?
Oh God, cowboy.
You know what? No one says the cowboy. And I'm like, listen, he won an Oscar for playing a cowboy. Plus Yellowstone is awesome.
It's one of the best shows ever made.
Categorically. I would call him, I'd say as a cowboy too, because I think Bull Durham is fine, except for the 8-minute weird love scene with it's just like, I don't understand it. They're in milk wearing socks. I'm just a more particular person, I guess. All right. When you go to a new ballpark, where's your favorite spot to sit?
I'm a standing room only guy. I like to walk around.
Yeah.
I'm not a big standing guy or a sitting guy. I don't like to park myself anywhere.
I'm the same. I always buy seats. Like when I come, I've already ordered seats for you guys. I get 2, so I have a place to put the gear, and then I end up walking around the whole time.
Oh yeah.
All right. It's the middle of February. You're looking to you're feeling the mood for some baseball. What's your go-to movie?
I'm a summer catch guy.
My Jessica and I got to have a summer catch outside of the Chatham A's ballpark
That is awesome.
last week. It was crazy. So yeah, it was definitely awesome. I just put a photo up of us throwing the ball. He is Matt Bari. He is your Senior Director of Communications with your Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. Thanks so much for jumping on Let's Get To. I cannot wait to see you in person again.
Happy to see you here.
From the bleachers, the Let's Get To Game of the Week.
And welcome back to From the Bleachers. We're not coming to you from the bleachers. We're at Coca Cola Park, home of your Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. We're up here at the Penteladata Party Porch, having a great time. It's recovery night, which was a really beautiful ceremony. We'll show you a little bit later in the episode. It's Festers night, which is about a music fest in town. Again, we'll talk a little bit about it. You've heard Matt already talk about it in the episode. There's a celebrity here, and I'm not talking about me. The Philly Fanatic is here. It's a great time in the ballpark. Check out how our evening at the Iron Pigs went. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next, we welcome the host of the Let's Get To podcast, an Army veteran, James Christopher.
Okay, so I've had some first pitches work out a little bit better than that one, but don't think it's emblematic of my time spent at the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. When I first entered Coca Cola Park, my first thought was, this feels like a major league park, just a little smaller. The whole thing popped. The grass is perfectly manicured. The warning track painstakingly aligned, and the large Coca-Cola bottle adds the right amount of whimsy. But more on that later. It's a ballpark that I've heard so many great things about, but somehow the experience exceeded my very high expectations. The outfield wall curves as opposed to making a sharp angle towards center field, creating a variety of crazy bounces and unpredictable ricochets. So much so that this becomes our Scotty Max dimension porn of the week. There's a large, passionate following for the Iron Pigs, and with a cool logo like that, who can blame them? The Iron Pigs are named in reference to pig iron used in the manufacturing of steel, for which the Lehigh Valley region of Pennsylvania is well known. And it looks tough anywhere you see it. Just a side note, I'm a huge fan anytime a team does the whole logo cut out into the back of the chair thing. Tried to get some from Sugarland when they quit being the Skeeters and came up just a little bit short. It was super cool to see the Philly Fanatic at the ballpark. I mean, he is a legend among mascots, and to show you that we can all move on and adapt, we even took a step forward in our relationship, especially in light of the 2021 popcorn on my head incident. It was also super cool to meet Iron Pigs mascots Ferris and Fifi, who worked to keep the crowd entertained between pitches. Home plate was being prepared, both soaked and in one of the cutest promotions ever. The plate was being cleaned by a kid using a large toothbrush. I really do love minor league baseball so much. The wind was blowing in, offering a cool respite from the summer heat that even in Pennsylvania was pretty brutal at times. We had 2 in-game promotions going on. First, it was Recovery Day, and that was a celebration of those who struggle with addiction. The Serenity Prayer was moving to witness and showed the kind of community that can come together through minor league baseball, a community that supports its team and each other. We were also celebrating Fester's Night, recognizing Music Fest, a huge music celebration in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. This year, they've got acts like Willie Nelson, Poison, and Boyz II Men. The Iron Pigs track the history of the franchise in a variety of ways. First, you have Pennant in the outfield. The Pigs to the Bigs display recognizes all the players who've moved onto the show. I love it. Pigs to the Bigs. On the suite club level, there's a great timeline marking big events in the history of the team, from inception onward. It's a really cool display with moments in Iron Pig history marked with facts and photos. I did make the joke that when they do add the 2020 thing, it should just say, wah, wah, wah. But of course, it's minor league baseball, so that means we're in for a great fun time. We've got mascot races. Calls to the bullpen are even a lot of fun because they have a bullpen car, kids. That's right, the bullpen car is back, and frankly, I think it needs to be a mandatory thing in every single ballpark. And for teams with smaller budgets that really can't afford a fancy bullpen car, give me a golf cart and crepe paper and I'm in. Every time a run is scored, there's an awesome display. I'm talking fire out of the large flamethrowers in the outfield, and then the Coca Cola bottle opens its lid and pop goes some fireworks. But just like that, with some corn on the cob, the night and the game was coming to an end. The sky turned from a blue to a myriad of hues as the baseball sky finally settled in, one of the most impressive baseball skies we've seen this season. To say it was among my favorite baseball experiences would be an understatement, a drastic understatement. I left the park excited again for the game of baseball, for the direction of this show, and bummed that it would be a minute before I would be back. An Iron Pigs game was as close to perfect as you can get. The team on the field is excellent, vying for the top of the International League at the time of this recording. The in-game experience is fun. The thing that draws so many first-timers to the ballpark was on point. A little something for everyone, all reflecting and supporting the community. It was great to make new friends. Okay, I don't think he ever saw me, but still, new friends. And it was truly great to see old ones. I can't say enough about Matt and everything he's done for our show. He was a believer in us from day one. I have one major criteria for the ballparks we cover, ballparks that exceed the rest of the places in which the greatest game ever invented is played. Do I want to come back again to make sure Jessica gets to see it? In this case, she definitely needs to, and I cannot wait to bring the show back to the LeHigh Valley.
Holler and a Swaller, a chug of Ballpark brew. Presented by The Hitter Sports.
And welcome back to Holler and a Swaller. We're out here at Coca Cola Ballpark, home of your LeHigh Valley Iron Pigs. And I am in the Brew Daddy's Beer Garden. It's pretty awesome. You know, we love to taste craft beer on this show. We understand that craft beer is as important as minor league baseball when it comes to telling the story of a community, when it comes to reflecting the community. And usually, you know, you'll be lucky if you see a ballpark with a 1 or 2 options. Here, they have all the options. Right now, I'm having the Haze Daddy. I did want to have the insert clever name here, and it's sold out because who wouldn't want to insert a clever name here? My first impression walking in, and obviously you're going to hear about this before this segment and after it because TV is weird, was this is a ballpark that I definitely wish I'd been to earlier. And I say that hoping that you will now add it to your list, making sure that you get out to this ballpark, see the Iron Pigs, and have just a great time. Until then, holler and swaller, baby.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
The 7th inning stretch. What's going on outside of the ballpark? Presented by the Dad Hat Chronicles.
So we are super excited to welcome to Let's Get to Holly Harrar. She is from Discover LeHigh Valley, their CVB. First of all, Holly, I know that you guys at the date of this recording are pretty knee deep in Music Fest by now. Have you had any sleep?
Yes. I will say I was at Music Fest last night, and first of all, it's hot as you know what here. So being at Music Fest and being among the crowds of people, which is always a fun time, a fun environment, the heat has done a number. So waking up this morning was rough, but yeah, we're getting through slowly but surely.
Yeah, we were out there last weekend for the game, and I was shocked at the level of, because I'm coming from Texas, I just assume wherever I go will be cooler, but not always. You know, being from Austin, I understand what an event like that means. ACL down here, of course, South by. How important is it for the communities you represent? Because more than just one that you guys represent, as far as just providing an identity and sort of putting your stamp on the larger community through that event.
Well, Music Fest is our biggest event of the year. I mean, we work year round trying to find new ways to promote Music Fest. It drives a majority of tourism here in the Lehigh Valley, and creates quite an economic footprint for our region. And for those who don't know, Lehigh Valley is made up of 3 main towns: Easton, Allentown, and Bethlehem. And Bethlehem is where Music Fest is held. And so really it's just a Lehigh Valley wide celebration of music, arts, and culture in Lehigh Valley. And we bring acts from, you know, last night I went to Counting Crows. Tonight, tomorrow is Disturbed. Tonight is Ziggy Marley. So some great acts that do come to town, and food vendors come out, and there's free concerts really at every turn. And so it's a huge celebration of music and fun and togetherness, especially after the pandemic, has just been a wonderful event.
1990s me is very jealous of not getting to see Counting Crows. I don't think I've seen them since like 1995. So yeah, I'm an old man. But talk a little bit about that, though. You touched on the pandemic, and that's kind of been the story of this show as well. All these teams are excited to kind of be back to normal. Did you guys have the event last year? And if so, how did this year differ from last year?
They did take a break from Music Fest due to the pandemic. They did more of like a virtual Music Fest where you could tap in and buy tickets to watch some acts perform kind of virtually. Which stunk because, again, it's not the same experience of sitting there and hearing the bass blare into your ears and just be in person and up close to some of your favorite acts like the Counting Crows. So it was a little bit of a setback, but it set us up for, you know, a great future, and for everyone to be really excited about being at Music Fest once again and together and listening to their favorite band. So you know, we consider it a set forward because we're looking to the future and really just, you know, making up for lost time.
You talked about you represent basically 3 towns. That team is also represented in the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. We were actually there for Fester Night. What's that partnership like? Like how do you guys sort of help each other out when it comes to promoting the community and then also things that are going on at the ballpark?
Well, our partnership with the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs is longstanding. We love them there. They include us in a whole ton. And obviously they want us to be promoting them as much as possible to get visitors who are visiting, Lehigh Valley to make sure that they attend an Iron Pigs game. I strongly suggest attending an Iron Pigs game, not only for those who just love the game of baseball, but we're promoting family fun here in Lehigh Valley, and attending a baseball game. I mean, I can't think of much else that's more family oriented. So whether you're heading out to maybe get a glimpse of the Philly Fanatic, there have been a few guest appearances by him, and who does not love the Philly Fanatic?
Well, he and I have beef, but that's a whole other thing. We met last year and this year, and I don't know, we didn't get along, but other than that, we had a moment where I'm sitting in the Jersey Shore game, and he walks up to me for no reason and pours popcorn on my head.
That's the Fanatic.
I guess so. I couldn't get away with that behavior, so I don't know why he gets to. But anyway, I'm sorry I cut you off.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. No, that's the kind of shenanigans you'll find at a Phillies game, and definitely at a MIB or MILB Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs game too. Our food at the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs is a big reason why people come. I don't know if you see pictures of people with a big old corn on the cob in their hand at a Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs game. All Shucks corn is like, it's all the rave at Music Fest and at a Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs game. So you got to get a shuck of corn. And also new this year, we've been able to try what they're calling pigs in dirt. So,
okay.
You get the dirt reference with the worms or whatever. One of our local bakeries actually has pudding in a cup, which is their homemade pudding with gummy pigs inside. And so the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs took that on, and it's a delicious dessert, and a big reason why people come out to the ballpark too.
I did have the corn. And my wife is she's a San Antonio girl, right? So she's like elote is like her thing.
Yes.
And we were at a Cedar Rapids Colonels game, not a single piece of corn anywhere in the ballpark. So she was incredibly jealous that and it was delicious. I had butter in the spices. Oh. It was so good. So good. What I thought was also interesting, and it segues to what I want to talk about next, is they have a lot of local beer at the ballpark, which I think is so important. What's the beer scene like in these communities, and do you see it growing or is it shrinking? I mean, how does it look for you guys?
Definitely growing. Lehigh Valley is made up vastly of a lot of farmland and a lot of distilleries who are trying to create a bigger audience and get people to come in and enjoy their libations. And so that's a huge page on our website. So for your listeners who are visiting the Lehigh Valley and want to get a good taste of the beer scene here, we've got tons of distilleries and breweries listed on our website for you to try. Always doing new things, always trying new things. You can also find a number of them at the ballpark too. But definitely, get out and about to the distilleries here in Lehigh Valley.
And I'll bring it back to the same question then. I mean, how important is having that culture as opposed to we're going to have Bud Lights or Coors? Nothing against them. If you want to sponsor the show someday, you're more than welcome. Right. But I mean, how important though is it as a reflection of the area you're in to have a unique beer scene?
Well, it supports small business, right? I mean, those people work long hours. I know ours do, the ones that we work with personally and partner with us, work long hours and are really working to create a brand for themselves and have created experiences here in Lehigh Valley. There's nothing quite like going to a micro distillery or microbrewery and seeing how it's made. I've had the privilege of being able to do that too. And so just the heart and soul, not only of, you talk about baseball, the heart and soul of America's pastime, but also just supporting those small businesses that make Lehigh Valley thrive.
I wanted to ask you real quick, local food. So I went to a place called the Copperhead Cafe.
Okay. Copperhead Grill, maybe?
Copperhead Grill. And I went against my rule as a Texan. I did order the fajitas mostly because it came with kielbasa and it was delicious. But in just again, like what's the food scene look like? Is it, do we run the gamut of types and genres? Is it, I mean, again, can we get local flavor there?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we talk about the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs too. It's a lot of pork products, big on pork products here, and getting that taste. But we also have a lot of. I know we mentioned Music Fest has a ton of food trucks. The Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs are home to an annual food truck festival, and that's everything from Mexican to tater tots and poutine and things like that. Your more festival staples with a little bit of a twist too, and that runs the gamut. As you mentioned, are they more specific or do they run the gamut? Definitely run the gamut. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. Again, you'll be able to find whatever you're looking for at discoverlehighvalley.com if you're looking for a restaurant or a specific cuisine type.
So speaking of discoverlehighvalley.com, which again, it's one of the better CVB websites I've been to because it is laid out. Oh, absolutely. Like, great. And one of the things I noticed when I clicked on things to do and the little drop down menu came over was the high degree or high number of haunted options. So my last question is, how haunted is the area?
Well, this is all new to me as well. This upcoming Halloween season, I will be diving a little bit more into what these haunted attractions will look like. But again, we talk about vast farmlands and a lot of hay rides and haunted hay rides. Dorney Park takes over with their haunt nights. So that's one thing. I've been in this position now for probably 9 months or so. So this fall season will be my first with Discover Lehigh Valley. And so I am looking forward to haunt nights here in Lehigh Valley. I will say one thing. Hotel Bethlehem has a haunted room. Make sure you ask about it. I did, and I wish I didn't.
Now I need to go back. She's Holly Harris. She's with Discover Lehigh Valley. Thanks so much for jumping on Let's Get To. And again, I know that you're a big part of the communications piece, but the website really does lay out better than the vast majority that I've seen.
Thank you. And be sure to follow us on social media at Lehigh Valley, PA. That's my bread and butter. That's where I work. So I'll be sharing more things to do, things to see, taste, all that. So be sure to follow us on social.
Well, thanks for jumping on.
Thank you.
Show me the merch. Fashion, baseball style. Presented by the Baseball by Design podcast.
The Iron Pigs brand is strong and iconic, and that's why all through the game there were lots of people in the team store getting their shop on. The twist on the pig iron idea with an actual iron pig is incredibly cool, and the logo looks great on all kinds of merch. Jerseys, caps, t-shirts, pretty much everything and anything. Where the Iron Pigs really excel beyond most teams is their alternative looks. I love the homage to 80s era Phillies. The Iron Mutts, an alternative name with the express mission of getting people to the Iron Mutts game and then getting some pets adopted. Their Copa identity, the Coquis, yes, I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly, is a vibrant, fun brand reflecting the Latin influence in the area. The Wooder Ice salutes the city of Philadelphia. The Scrapple is an homage to the pork delicacy. And honestly, these just name a few. It's a flexible and dynamic brand. But of course, the best part of the experience is the people who bring the brand to life, especially those working in the team store. They were a joy to shop from. So make sure you check out the Iron Pigs online, or better yet, get to the ballpark yourself. But make sure when you're getting Iron Pig stuff, you're getting it directly from the team and not a third party.
Raiders of the Lost Diamond, digging into baseball's past. presented by Patrick Larson.
So bear with us, because we're going to get a little nutty today on Raiders of the Lost Diamond. Now it's time to dig up some history on peanut-related baseball teams in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Way back in 1887, the first of our legume-named legends took to the diamond. The Allentown Peanut Eaters competed in the Pennsylvania State Association with 7 other teams, including the Wilkes-Barre Coal Barons, the Scranton Miners, and the Williamsport Lumber Cities. The Pennsylvania State Association folded after the 1887 season, but in 1888, the Allentown Peanuts took the field at Allentown Fairgrounds as part of the 9-team Central League. The Peanuts were less successful than their peanut-eating predecessors, finishing in 5th place with a 51-57 record. In 1895, the Allentown Goobers brought peanut-themed baseball back to the local fairgrounds. They competed with 7 other teams in the Class B Pennsylvania State League. Including the Harrisburg Senators, the Carbondale Anthracites, and the Shenandoah Huns. The Goobers were mostly creamed by their opponents, finishing in 6th place with a 29-28 record. Hey, at least it was above 500. The 95 Peanuts boasted a trio of brothers, Tom, Joe, and Jim Delaney, but not their more famous sibling, Big Ed. While not as accomplished as Ed, Jim Delaney had a notable 14-year career in the majors with teams like the Cubs, Giants, Braves, Reds, Senators, Tigers, and the Baltimore Terrapins of the Federal League. Allentown finished their first Atlantic season in 5th place out of the 8 teams with a 55-67 record. See, not above 500. The Peanuts wound up their last and final season in 4th place with only a 14-20 record. And now baseball still lives in the Allentown area, but instead of peanuts, we've traded it out for pork.
To close it out, the right-hander from Houston, Texas, James Christopher.
So that does wrap up this episode of Let's Get To. All I can say about my experience at Coca Cola Park is that it has been idyllic. This is what a minor league baseball experience should be like. Really good stuff going on the field, a blast between innings. You had mascots, you had games, a really friendly staff. It's just been perfect. So whenever you start planning your trips for next year, make sure this is number 1 on your agenda. You can come here and then branch out to some of the other teams in the area. It's perfect. And when you get out here, there's a lot of great food you can have. You can get some corn on the cob. You can get a pork sandwich, which at the time I thought was weird to eat the mascot. And then I remembered I graduated from the University of Texas and I often, eat the mascot. But whatever you do, get you some peanuts, get you some Cracker Jack. Most importantly, Let's Get To. Let's Get To is presented by Twitchy Dolphin Media. Creative Director, Jessica Bybee-Jedgetts. Executive Producers, James Christopher, Andy Tom Chesson, and Scott McIntyre. Produced by Andrew Nelson and Eric Mertens. Associate Producers, Timothy Jedgetts and Jess Canaster. Music by Andy Bertelson, Grace Usselman, and On Holiday. All content created by Let's Get To is the sole property of Twitchy Dolphin Media. All content created by teams covered in the episode are the sole property of the trademark holders. Let's Get To is a proud member of the Curved Brim Media Network.
Podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, I'm James Christopher, host of Let's Get To, and we are going to be taking you on a tour of this great country through the lens of minor league baseball. That's right, from sea to shining sea, we're going to be looking at towns big and small as we explore the greatest game ever invented.
This is Patrick.
And Corey.
Of BaseballMapper.com. And we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball, so get on the site and find a team near you today.
Hi, this is Ed Rivera of the Dad Hat Chronicles. Join me as I interview people just like you and players, coaches, GMs on the path that led you to become a fan of the sport.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTomaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at @PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
And I'm Paul Caputo. I tell the story of America one minor league baseball logo and nickname at a time on the Baseball by Design podcast.
Learn more about Curve Brim Media at curvebremmedia.com.